The universe, according to Rand and to objectivists and most libertarians, the universe is intelligible and it is potentially understandable. In Rand's book, For the New Intellectual, she uses two philosophical ideal types to depict the enemies of rationality and therefore capitalism: the witch doctor and Attila. The essential characteristic of these two remain the same in all ages. Quote, Attila, the man who rules by brute force, acts on the rage of the moment, is concerned with nothing but the physical reality immediately before him, respects nothing but man's muscles, and regards a fist, a club, or a gun as the only answer to any problem. The witch doctor, on the other hand, wishes to avoid empirical evidence and the world of demonstrable reality. Quote, he is the man who dreads physical reality, dreads the necessity of practical action, and escapes into his emotions, into visions of some practical realm where he wishes to enjoy a supernatural power unlimited by the absolute of nature. I think you can see some subtext here in elements of the more mystical element, for example, of the Green Movement. They just wish, that life wasn't the reality that it is, and if only money grew on trees, and other emotional desires. For Rand, both the witch doctor and Attila exist with a consciousness held down to the perceptual method of functioning, an awareness that does not choose to extend beyond the automatic, the immediate, the given, the involuntary, which means an animal's epistemology, or as near to it as human consciousness can come. It is against the faculty of reason that Attila and the witch doctor rebel. The key to both their souls is the longing for the effortless, irresponsible, automatic consciousness of an animal. Both dread the necessity, the risk, and the responsibility of rational cognition. Both seek to exist not by conquering nature, but by adjusting to the given, the immediate, the known. Rand's theory of rights is inexorably linked to her conception of human nature. For her, the source of rights is man's nature. Rights are a necessary condition of man's particular mode of survival. Thus, for every individual, a right is the moral sanction of a positive of his freedom to act on his own judgment, for his own goals, by his own voluntary, uncoerced choice. As to his neighbours, his rights impose no obligation on them except of a negative kind to abstain from violating his rights. Now, life, and indeed health, is not guaranteed. And in recognition of this metaphysical fact, Rand holds that rights are freedoms of action and not guarantees of anything. That's crucial. Property rights are not conceived by her to be rights to things, but only the freedom to pursue courses of action with respect to material and conditional goods. If certain goods and services are to be guaranteed to individuals, as welfare theorists demand, some people, by implication, must be coerced to provide for others. Apart from the fact that what is guaranteed upon the notion of a guarantee and upon the idea of other people being productive, there is in principle no limit to what one, under that paradigm, might claim to want to be guaranteed. Apart from the fact, but this, and I quote, but this view of rights makes a mockery of the notion of a guarantee. For if there is no object to which one may not claim a right, then we could conceivably ask the state to guarantee all things equally to everyone. Once you move into that statist paradigm of rights and guarantees, there is literally no limit to where that might take you and to the coercive action that might fall upon you and other people in your society. Through this paradigm, in one fell swoop, the NHS, for example, and notions of state healthcare become not merely ineffective, which was Hayek's argument, or as you'll hear later from, I think, Mark Pennington, might be some of the subtext of the public choice school theory. But it actually becomes a fraud. The idea of this sort of guarantee becomes a fraud. The NHS's demand for more resources can be dismissed as part of a gang of looters fighting over the pickings. To turn a socialist slogan on its head, healthcare is not a privilege. Is a privilege. It is not a right. Indeed, objectivists and other libertarians complain that few reasons are ever given by welfare theorists as to why the inherently coercive apparatus of the state should be the vehicle for providing certain goods to particular groups or classes of people. It is not enough to assume blindly a priori that the state should, let alone could, provide the goods demanded. For free market libertarians, the question is, why are acts of force by the state not subject to the levels of moral condemnation that we apply to individuals who would take such unjustifiable actions, such coercive actions against other individuals? Here, the NHS and the welfare state's conception of rights is regarded as being explicitly discriminatory. The conception of rights that the state treats some individuals differently from others depending on their particular status in society at a particular time, like whether they are rich or poor. This is a deeply unegalitarian basis, if you think about it. Libertarians argue that despite socialist and social democratic rhetoric, welfare rights do not suppose that people possess rights. Rather, rights are gifts of the state, and therefore this means that, like all benefactors, the state possesses the power to remove its generosity when it so desires. Because the state is ultimately its own arbiter, it has no obligations to respond efficiently to demand. Because in reality, no natural automatic guarantees are given that mean people will lead successful lives, the NHS and other state welfare services are identified by Rand as being metaphysical frauds. Modern consensual health and economics, health and welfare economics, distorts the true nature of social existence. For Rand, the best we can do is to establish conditions which allow for choices that are essential for the pursuit of human life. To establish these conditions without reference to anyone's particular circumstance is to treat each individual equally. Therefore, for her, property rights essentially mean the right to certain courses of action rather than particular objects.